What's going on, bottom line viewers and NFL bettors? It's Mitch here, back with another week of NFL best bets versus the spread, this time for week number 9 of the 2022 NFL season. Last week, we had a phenomenal week going 4-1 on our best bets versus the spread, hoping for another great week here in week number 9. Let me know your best bet in the comment section below. Gronk, spike that like button. Don't forget to subscribe for weekly NFL best bets and coverage of the NFL every single day here on the channel. Before I give you my best bets versus the spread, I have to let you know about my new partner and an awesome new fantasy sports site. It's called Owner's Box Fantasy, and right now they are offering an incredible deal, guys. This is an absolutely phenomenal deal that you shouldn't miss, because I've really enjoyed the lightning lineups where you spin, you pick, you win. It's that simple, and I'm going to show you how that works. But right now, this deal is a deposit bonus up to $500 when you sign up to Owner's Box Fantasy. Use the referral code BLV and get that bonus up to $500. Again, incredible. So it's worth checking it out just for that alone. But let me show you how this lightning lineups work, because I absolutely love and I'm addicted to it right now, and I'm going to play it for Thursday Night Football. Let me show you. So once you sign up, head to the lobby and you'll see the different type of contests that you can play on Owner's Box Fantasy Sports. My favorite one right now to play is Lightning Lineups. And why is it my favorite? Because it's so easy. It's so quick. It's so simple. And you can choose from all the 4 major sports: NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL. This is the time of the year to check it out. But for the NFL, essentially you have 3 different lineups to choose from for a given game or a given week. And then you can choose which one you love the most. You can click the lineups button here, the lightning lineups button, bam, cool animations, and we get 3 new fresh lineups for you to choose from. Personally, I'm going to go with Mills and Goddard. I think that's a solid combination right there. And you can choose between your balance or your owner's bucks, which is also a feature on the site. So I'm going to go with owner's bucks. You know, you could just put whatever you want in there, enter, submit, and you're good to go. That's how Lightning Lineups and Owner's Box Fantasy Sports works. I'm right now really loving it, and I think you'll love it as well. So make sure to check it out. Owner's Box Fantasy Sports. Use the referral code BLV. And let's begin with our first best bet versus the spread. And I'm taking the Atlanta Falcons at home versus the Los Angeles Chargers +3. If you could get a 3 in the hook, 3.5, that would be even better, even greater, as I did earlier this week. And this was a bet that I made early this week, which I released to Patreon. That is where you can get some of my exclusive early looks and early bets on my Patreon, link in the description. $3 only per month. So make sure to check that out. But the Atlanta Falcons plus the 3 points at home. First, we have a Chargers team coming off a bye. So there is maybe some hesitation because of that, right? Coming off a bye, maybe they fix some of their flaws. Maybe Justin Herbert's a bit healthier. But this is still a Chargers team that's very, very beat up, especially on offense. You look at offensively, they're without their number 1 and number 2 target in the passing game. Justin Herbert will be without his chemistry and his rapport of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. And those are the 2 receivers that defenses fear. Now more attention can be given to Gerald Everett, who's having a pretty good season at tight end. More attention to a Josh Palmer or a DeAndre Carter, whoever Herbert is going to go to. And the other thing with those 3 athletes, those 3 receivers there, they do not have speed. They are not explosive. So if the Chargers are going to pass the football in this game, it's going to be dink and dunk. It's going to be underneath. And it's not going to be explosive down the field like we saw from PJ Walker and DJ Moore. They're are no DJ Moores in this receiving core this week for the Chargers. Chargers also have some injuries up front, but Atlanta is not exactly a team that's great in terms of rushing the passer. I'm not going to lie to you. But what they do have is a pretty solid coach. Dean Pease on the defensive side of the ball definitely can throw some different looks at you, definitely can throw some different dynamic blitzes, coverages, show a blitz, drop out in coverage. And those are the type of things that Justin Herbert has struggled with in the past against teams like the Ravens, against teams like the Patriots. We've seen Justin Herbert kind of struggle with those, show blitz, back out type scenarios. And I do think Atlanta can do that with the personnel and the scheme that they do offer and those hybrid athletes, guys like Lorenzo Carter up front. Don't expect Atlanta to really shut down the Chargers, but I think the Chargers playing at a slower pace, making sure that they're checking the ball down, I think Atlanta will stay in the game defensively well enough. But it's more about their offense. Atlanta's offense is very difficult to prepare for. It's very diverse. The way that they run the football, it's very unique. It's hard to prepare for an athlete like Marcus Mariota, especially if you're injured up front like the Chargers are on the defensive line. And especially if you're a team that is not very good against the run. The Chargers have struggled to stop the run the last 2 years under Brandon Staley, and I'm not expecting the bye to really change that. Arthur Smith here is the superior coach in terms of in-game management, in terms of in-game adjustments, and he will have a plan to attack this Chargers defense through the running game. Cordero Patterson, their most dynamic player, might actually play in this game, which would be even better, but I do like how Algier and Huntley are playing as well at running back, so I'm not too concerned. Drake London, you've got to be able to cover him. You've got to be able to cover Kyle Pitts. We've seen contributions from other players like Zacchaeus and Bird throughout the season. Marcus Mariota can also scramble for some yards. I think Atlanta controls the pace of the game, running the football, keeps Herbert on the sidelines, and maybe even squeaks out the victory. If they don't win, they lose by a field goal. The Chargers tend to play close games. Give me Atlanta plus the 3.5 would be even better. My second best bet versus the spread is the Seattle Seahawks. Plus 2, or if you just want to take them on the money line, that is also fantastic. Love the Seahawks this week because Seattle has the superior coach and the quarterback that's playing better football right now. Yes, I said it. Geno Smith is playing better football than Kyler Murray. And Pete Carroll is a lot better, tiers better than Cliff Kingsbury. This is also the team getting points that's playing better, that has the better record, that's on a hot streak, that just beat a Giants team that was on a roll and beat them comfortably and handily at home. Now they play a division rival. I get it, on the road, but the Cardinals have struggled on the road this year, or at home, I should say, this year. And the Seahawks, I feel, can go to Arizona. They're not going to fear that home field, and they're going to beat them in Arizona because they did it last year, late last year, when Arizona was looking to get in the playoffs. What did Seattle do? They handled Kyler Murray. So Seattle has kind of had the edge in this matchup lately. I think a lot of that has to do with they understand how to play Kyler Murray. They understand how to rush Kyler Murray and keep him in the pocket, contain him, make life difficult for him. They also are excellent against the run. The Seattle team really did a phenomenal job against Saquon Barkley last week in a way that I haven't seen any other team do, all year. Maybe they struggle a bit with D-Hop, but Seattle is a football team that's improving on defense, that is balanced on offense with Kenneth Walker and Geno Smith and DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. If you sell out for the run, you're going to have a hard time single manning up DK and Tyler Lockett, and you're going to have a tough time if you play cover 2 and play 2 deep of defending Kenneth Walker out of the backfield running the rock. And I like the way they're protecting the passer in Seattle. I just think Seattle is the better team here, getting the points, a team that won the first game by 10 points, and a team that in that game consistently moved the football to the red zone. And I expect better red zone success in this matchup. So give me the Seahawks on the road against the Cardinals plus the points. My third best bet of week number 9 is the Chicago Bears plus the 5 at home over the Miami Dolphins. A lot of people are going to say, whoa, Mitch, This doesn't make a lot of sense. Roquan Smith gone. Robert Quinn gone. And the Dolphins got Bradley Chubb. Well, I'll say this to you. The biggest development from Chicago has been their offense, not their defense. It has been what they've been able to do schematically, game plan wise, to prepare their offense to score points. Justin Fields is playing a lot better. The offensive line is playing a lot better, and they're playing downhill because they run the football. And Miami, they've been so-so against the run. I feel like at times you can run on them. At other times they do a good job. But there's a lot to handle here on Chicago's offense. Why do I say that? Miami is a team that loves to play man coverage. They love to play man coverage. They love to blitz you. Well, here's the problem with that. Darnell Mooney, and now you insert Chase Claypool into that mix at wide receiver. Those are guys that can burn you down the field, make big plays down the field, and even other receivers like, let's say, Dante Pettis can actually run, and beat you down the field against man coverage. The problem the Patriots had defensively was that very issue, right? They couldn't play man. They were forced into zone, which they're not as good at, very similar to Miami, because they had to have eyes on the quarterback because Justin Fields is a dynamic weapon running the football and scrambling. And that's the biggest threat there. But if you play a lot of man, that allows Justin Fields to run, or it allows him to create big chunk plays through his right arm to guys like Darnell Mooney, who I do feel separate down the field. So you've got that problem. And if they blitz, you've got that problem. On top of that, they do bring some balance to the table offensively with Montgomery and Herbert out of the backfield. And they do a lot of different things that's hard to prepare for, right? Quarterback runs, different screen plays, just different stuff that you don't often see from a lot of teams, a lot like Atlanta. And then defensively, what I like about Chicago's defense, even though they've lost two of their better players on defense, is they play a lot of zone, they play a lot of cover two, and they're going to make Tua work down the field. This is not going to be a game where Tyreek Hill is going to be running past a corner for a 70-yard touchdown. Chicago is smart. Chicago plays that cover two shell, and Chicago is going to force Miami to run the ball, force Miami to throw checkdowns, and they're going to rally, they're going to tackle. On top of that, Chicago has a strong pass defense they have all season long, and they're not as good against the run. That's where they were susceptible against Dallas, and I don't feel they're as susceptible against a team like Miami who struggles more so to run than pass. So also, this is at home. Also, this is in Chicago, not Miami, and there could be a hint of wind involved in this game, which I would favor Fields in over Tua because the arm strength factor there for Tua, I do worry about him in those type of elements. So, overall, I like the Bears just to keep this close, if not come out and win this game. With all the hype on Miami's side, it's time to fade them for this week and take the Bears as the underdog plus the 5 points. My fourth best bet versus the spread this week is the Washington Commanders at home plus the 3.5 points over the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I understand it's getting ugly. It's getting a little dirty here on the BLV, taking Washington over a 6-1 football team. But look, guys, Washington has won 3 straight games, and it's no coincidence that Taylor Heineke has been at the helm for every single one of those victories. Heineke has been playing good football. And what I love about his game is he's a playmaker. He's willing to be dangerous. He's willing to make plays. And against a Minnesota defense that's pretty stout against the run, that does offer a fairly good pass rush, and does play a ton of zone coverage, what you have to do is be willing to make plays down the field. And Terry McLaurin's been playing great. Minnesota is just not very good on the outside. They're not very good at corner. They're not very fast at corner. I think Taylor Heineke can find Terry McLaurin down the field, can find Curtis Samuel down the field. These receivers got speed. These receivers can stretch vertical. And these receivers one-on-one with these Viking corners like Patrick Peterson and Cameron Dantzler who can't run, I feel that's a mismatch for Washington. So I love their passing game, especially down the field in this one, to create big plays. It won't be consistent, but it will be there enough. But what I really like about Washington is the way their defense and their defensive front is playing. I think this is the type of defensive front that causes issues for Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is a pocket passer, think Tom Brady. And with interior pass rush like Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen, life can become difficult for you, especially with an offensive line that's pretty good but not excellent. I feel like Minnesota on the road, some of those issues come out because they're much better at home. But when you go on the road with the crowd noise and oftentimes offensive lines play worse. So you've got those players in the middle of that pass rush unit to be able to disrupt and push the pocket, causing some errors by Kirk Cousins. They've also been phenomenal against the run. So Dalvin Cook and that dimension of the offense will be less so this week. Yes, Justin Jefferson and those boys on the outside will have matchups. TJ Hawkinson, not too worried about that because it will take time for him to get involved. But overall, I think this is a down spot for the Vikings. I love the hook here because the Vikings could easily win by a field goal, but they love playing close games. And the Cardinals could easily beat them at home last week if it were not for that interception late in the game by Kyler Murray. I think the way that Washington matches up with Minnesota is just a tough matchup for them, even though Washington is seen as the by far worst team. So this could be one of those matchup plays that you make this week, plus 3.5 for the Commanders. My fifth best bet versus the spread for week number 9 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers minus 2.5 at home. Now I prefer 2.5. If you want to bet minus 3, that's cool too, or just bet the money line. But I do strongly like the Bucs in this spot. Why? They're coming off 10 days of rest to prepare for this Rams game. This Rams game is a game that they really want badly. This is a revenge game. For the playoffs, for last season, they have not beaten the Rams in quite some time. And now you will say probably, Mitch, this is a matchup issue then. The Rams, well, they're just that good. Well, this isn't the same Rams that played them in the playoffs, and this isn't the same Bucs, to be fair. But you look at this Rams team, what's so different about them? Well, their offense stinks right now. They can't run the ball at all. There's no threat of running the ball. And actually, the Bucs have really suffered on the edges defending outside runs this year. Don't expect that to be much of an issue against the Rams, who have literally the worst rushing attack in the NFL. It's even worse than the Bucs. So that's not an issue. Second, their offensive line is not nearly as good, and they don't run as much play action as they used to, which did give the Bucs some issues. They haven't all year. Now, they will try to run screens, but I believe that Todd Bowles will be prepared for that, as he was prepared for it, versus a team like Green Bay earlier, I should say, in this season. I feel like that game plan of Sean McVay just throwing screens against the Bucs is not as relevant anymore, especially without any downfield threats for this receiving core. Skoranek, Jefferson, nobody scares you with speed here, and if Cooper Kupp is banged up, and he's not at 100% or could even leave this game at some point, that is major issues for the Rams receiving core because they don't have anybody that Stafford really trusts on any big play. Allen Robinson's not that guy. So this is a really slow Rams passing game. This is a team that can't protect the quarterback, specifically in the interior, where Akeem Hicks is likely to be back. Full practice on Wednesday and Thursday for Tampa Bay. Expect him to be back. He's been very much missed for Tampa Bay. Alongside Vita Vea, they can push the pocket of some smaller interior players who are backups and get some pressure on Stafford. Again, a pocket quarterback where that interior pressure can really disrupt rhythm. And then on top of that, they're getting some players in the secondary back. Winfield, Davis should both be back in this game, which will be huge. A big reason they didn't look their best in the fourth quarter against the Ravens is because those secondary players were not there, right? So they were very weak in that secondary. Offensively, Julio practiced today, and he expects to be there with the 3 receiver set, where they've just been much better when those 3 guys have been on the field in the limited portion that they have been on the field, and they've possibly fixed their biggest flaw in their pass protection at left guard. Godkey has been out. He's been injured, but he's also been taken out of the lineup for Leverett, who's been a lot better at left guard. So the Bucs just have some issues, definitely, that they still got to solve, but you've seen more flashes of the Bucs being competent than the Rams this year, and you've seen the tweaks happening a little bit more than you've seen from the Rams. I think the Rams are really in a lot of trouble. They've got a lot of important injuries. They don't got a lot of depth. And did I mention that they're 31st in pressure rate? A big reason the Rams have been able to beat Tom Brady in recent years has been Aaron Donald, Von Miller, Leonard Floyd, and those guys getting to the quarterback. This year, they haven't been able to pressure as well. So I like Tampa Bay at home in this spot, 10 days of rest, to pick up the much-needed victory at home. My sixth and final best bet, we're going with 6 this week, by the way, I'm taking the Tennessee Titans, plus 12.5. On the road on Sunday Night Football against the Chiefs. Now, the biggest reason I'm taking the Titans is because of recent history playing the Chiefs.